It was December 2024. I'd like to have thought of myself as perfectly healthy, cycling every single day, 15 to 20 kilometers. I've always been very, very active and kept fit. Never had any, I've had an underlying medical condition, which is a genetic disease of my liver and kidney, which is monitored by King's College, but very much reviewed every one point yearly with a quick 10-minute appointment to the hospital. So seemingly you would believe there was no impact on my life whatsoever, other than the odd checkup here and there. Then it came to December 2024, early part of December, and I got ill with the flu, and it really hit me quite hard. I was actually in hospital for a couple of days with an asthma attack, but nothing too scary, just that was the worst my asthma's ever hit me, but nothing life-threatening. It was more a case I've been hit hard by the flu, needed to go into hospital just to have a quick nebulizer to just make sure, clear up my airways. And within one day I was back out and believed I was on a full road to recovery. Now, I believe this was around about the 6th of December. From the 6th of December onwards, all the way for the next sort of 10 days or so, I was complaining of back pain. I couldn't shake these flu-like symptoms. Back pain, fevers. It was very, very peculiar. I'd never had something like this before. And I kept on saying to everyone, it's crazy that I just can't shake this flu, or what I thought at the time was the flu. It got to a point where it was the 13th or 14th of December, and my now fiance and I, at the time she was just my girlfriend, were going out to Selfridges to do some Christmas shopping. And we were walking around, and I was feeling a little bit better on the Friday, but on the Saturday I felt quite rough again. And we were shopping, and I had my water bottle with me. It was a litre bottle of water, and I just couldn't stop drinking it. And I said to my girlfriend at the time, now fiance, I was saying, I just can't quench my thirst. It's really peculiar. I've drunk a litre of water in under an hour, and my lips and my mouth are so dry, I can't seem to quench this thirst. When we go home, I don't feel too great. So off we went home. And from this point onwards, up until, which was Saturday evening into about Monday evening, I don't really remember that much. And I really, really deteriorated quite quickly. So Saturday evening, I laid in bed with Alice. We just watched movies. I don't remember what movie we watched. I slept, woke up on the Sunday, was very, very out of it. And I was taking loads of codeine at the time to try and get rid of this back pain that I was suffering from. Alice kept on asking me how much codeine I was taking, and I couldn't really make sense by the sort of Sunday evening, Monday morning. I wasn't really making sense to her. At one moment I was saying I was taking the regular dosage of codeine, and the next minute it sounded like I was taking a lot more. So she started to panic because she thought I was essentially overdosing on this codeine. I was taking way too much and it was making me delirious. So she spoke to my mum. This was by about Monday, and I was meant to be flying to Dubai that evening for a meeting, and there was just no way I was going to make it to Dubai. I mean, I was telling her, sort of mumbling at her, that I would make it to Dubai, but she gave my mum a call and she was like, Sam's not making any sense. I think he's overdosing on codeine. So they threw all my codeine away, poured this liquid codeine down the sink because they thought I was acting like an addict. Finally, her and my housemate called the ambulance because it just wasn't getting better by Monday afternoon. Again, I don't remember any of this. Very, very patchy. And they got me into hospital by Monday evening, and the doctors, when they first saw me, didn't understand why I was there. I'd been in and out for the flu, and so no one kind of had an idea of what was really going on until they finally took my bloods. And the doctor came back in, and again, I don't remember this. It's the way my mum describes the story to me. And she said the doctor was white in the face at the fact they just seen my bloods and my CRP was up in the 400s. Now, for the medical professionals, they'll understand what that means, but obviously for the regular human being, and at the time I didn't understand what that means. Your regular CRP should be about 0 to 5 milligrams. An infection can spike it up because it's the protein that your body releases to fight infections. So an elevated CRP would be in the hundreds. You think above 200 to get to hospital kind of urgently, and mine was in the 400s. It was very, very scary. The doctor actually, I don't think he knew how to deliver the news at the time, because he sort of just turned around to us and went, he was in such shock. He went, your CRP is in the 400s, you're going into liver and kidney failure. And I think at that point, I kind of just broke down. And my mum actually stayed very, very strong and sort of stayed with me. And they rushed me off into the resuscitation department. So it went very, very quickly, all of a sudden, from thinking I just had the flu and maybe overdosing on codeine, to all of a sudden they were telling me that my liver and kidney was failing. They put a catheter in, they hooked me up to every kind of machine. They were telling me that my liver and kidney weren't functioning properly, so there was a chance I was going to be put into intensive care units. And at that point, if I went into the intensive care units, then they would take over my liver and kidney function. Thank God we were just in time and quick enough where I wasn't put into that. They didn't know what the infection was stemmed from. They didn't know what it was. They just absolutely gave me industrial-like antibiotics. They were the words of the hepatic doctor herself. The strongest antibiotics they had, the strongest antifungal medicine they had, and just put as much through the system and hope I reacted. And in the first 24 hours, I was not responding to the antibiotics, and luckily by about hour 48, I started responding. They got my liver and kidney function under control. But I mean, at this point, my heart was struggling so much. My resting heart rate was up in the 120s and 130s. Now my normal resting heart rate is normally in the 60s. So it wasn't just my liver and kidney struggling, it was also my heart which was struggling, also my breathing was struggling. I think I was on oxygen for the first 2 or 3 days of my admission. Yeah, it was extremely scariest moment of my life. First day or two, I think I was admitted to the hospital. Kind of had that thought, am I going to make it out this alive? And I don't know why I asked the question, but by day 3 I was feeling a bit better. And I sort of turned around to the head of hepatology at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital and said, am I out the woods? And she looked at me and she didn't know what to say. You could see in her face, she just kind of went silent. She went, no, you're really not out the woods, even by day 3. Because I started to feel a bit better. I felt like, yeah, that's it, we've got through it. And she went, no, at any point this infection can turn straight back and do immediate U-turn. Lucky enough, we were in quick enough, react to the sepsis, and the whole time we just got better and better. Within 8-9 days, by about day 10 or 11, they said the infection had pretty much gone out my system. So yeah, I mean, it was terrifying to go within the space of 24 hours to think I'm struggling with a bad case of the flu and some back pain, to all of a sudden the doctor's telling me I'm going into septic shock and my liver and kidney are failing and my heart is struggling and I can't breathe properly. I think that was the worst part, was you come out of that situation, you've just fought off this infection, this sepsis. The doctors have put you out into the real world again and you don't know where you stand. And I think that was the scariest thing, was re-entering the normal world and like, well, am I going to get this infection again? What's going to happen next? And that kind of unknowing and that health anxiety. And since you're just kind of constantly worried, your immune system's so weak and you're constantly worried you're going to end up straight back in that position. And, with me, I did actually, I mean, readmissions are very, very common. I was readmitted twice in the past 3 months. Luckily, again, we caught the infections extremely early, even before it became septic this time, because I guess we knew what we were looking out for. And I think that's the key thing. Once you know what sepsis is, or what the infection is, you can identify it quick enough, it won't lead to sepsis and it won't put your life in danger. So it just shows what early detection can actually do in fighting and stopping becoming septic. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey, a scary journey. I don't know, I think that's my reaction to everything. Oh, it's been an interesting journey, but yeah, it's been very scary. I'd say it's only been the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks where I could actually say to you I felt finally back to my normal self, finally back to full health. So that's a good 4 months on, maybe more now. So yeah, it's been a hard road, but yeah, it is what it is. I was amazed by the NHS, I really was. And I've praised the NHS on social media a hell of a lot in every news article I've done, because they saved my life. And without the National Health Service, I can't get health insurance because of my pre-existing conditions. So without the National Health Service, I'd probably be dead. So I praise the NHS because my experience of it, my whole life has been fantastic. Okay, yes, it's understaffed and underfunded, but I think they, with the actual level of care that you get once you're in the system is second to none. Yeah. Had no clue whatsoever, and that's why we were so shocked. I mean, yeah, we're no clue whatsoever, no idea what to look out for the signs of sepsis. Where now I can say to you, you know, uh, back pain, dehydration, delirium, are all the symptoms I had were key signs of sepsis. The biggest thing being the dehydration. I mean, that was, if we'd got in that would have been when I was really suffering from that dehydration 2 days before. I'd have got in 2 days earlier, which, look, in hindsight, yes, you would have got in that 2 days earlier. I'm not complaining because I made it out of the situation absolutely fine. But, you know, if we'd got in 2 days earlier, maybe it wouldn't have been as scary as a situation as what it got to by, the 16th of December. So, no, we didn't know about sepsis. We didn't know about the symptoms. We were very unaware. And maybe that's what made us a little bit more vulnerable and not able to identify those symptoms early. And I always speak in the as a we, because I think, I know it sounds weird grammatically, but I do say we, because my family have been there by my side the whole way through it. My mum, my brother, my grandma, and my fiance, and my aunt. They were all there by my side. So yeah, I refer to it as we go through it because it wasn't just me going through it. Of course, it was my family also going through it. So I don't want you to think that I'm just speaking in a grammatically incorrect nature, and that I actually mean what I'm saying when I say we. Yeah. I'm now so over analytical of my own body, which is a great thing because I'm getting into hospital earlier when I've had these readmissions and infections. But at the same time, it's for the last 5 or 6 months, it's been extremely challenging, adjusting and getting back to normal life. Carrying on with work, carrying on with normal activities. It's had a huge impact on my life. It really, really has. And I think, even though my family have been absolutely amazing and they've been there beside me, once you get back out into the real world and back out to real life, that's probably when you feel the most kind of alone in it, because everyone assumes you've gone back to normality because you're back doing your normal things. But actually, what's going through your head, what's you're feeling in your body, because your body doesn't feel right after going through such an ordeal. Your heart was running at double the speed for a whole week. My liver and my kidneys has shrunken up like prunes, like raisins. They were so dehydrated. I got kidney stones afterwards. So my body has, it takes a while to recover from that. And I feel that that's where you really, really struggle, is actually coming out of hospital. While you're in hospital, everyone knows you're ill. Doctors know you're ill. You've got their support. Your family know you're ill, that you've got your support. So it's actually, you feel a lot safer in the hospital. But when you come out of the hospital, you don't have the doctors around you. Your family assume you've kind of gone back to normal, hence why you're out of hospital. And you feel quite really alone. And yeah, I think that's the most challenging part. And I really see the need for people who've suffered with sepsis and family members who've lost people who've died from sepsis, that the needing of support following on from that. I've been very lucky for numerous reasons. Great family support. I'm in the public eye a little bit, so I've spoken to a lot of relevant people within, the medical industry. So I've been very, very lucky with how I've dealt with it. But relatability really does help, and there's always power in numbers and knowing you're not the only one who's gone through it. I do massively agree with that, and that's why I mean, it was very, very hard, but I can't believe the reception I had on the social media stuff. I mean, I don't have a huge following, not bigger by any stretch of the imagination, but the exposure the posts got and the articles got was amazing. I mean, you can see the analytics on Instagram, and I think I had like 2.5 million views on one of the health posts with thousands of comments and thousands of direct messages. And I really, really tried to respond to them all because I felt like, everyone's been so kind in sharing what they've gone through, which has really helped me. So I should try my best to respond to everyone I can. And I keep going back to it and keep on responding to more and more. But the numbers are very, very, very. I mean, I can't believe the numbers of people who've replied. So it is hard to reply to everyone, but I'm trying my hardest. Yeah, but there is definitely strength in numbers and relatability for sure. For me, I feel like if I can be as honest as possible, really let the walls down and really show people what had happened, and by doing so, it gains an interest and educates people to symptoms that they can become aware of in a friend or themselves. And if it saved one person, that's worth it, right? And in the same sense as if I had seen someone on social media or in a reality TV show who had gone through this ordeal and had let their wall down, and it really let me in, and alerted me of symptoms, and I'd caught the symptoms earlier and it saved my life. I think how thankful I would have been. Yeah, so you get criticised for it. People go, why was there pictures taken of you in a hospital bed? Well, there was no intention of those pictures ever actually being released. My mum took those photos because she needed a reference point to understand, how ill I'd got. It wasn't meant to be shared, but I felt like it was a great way of showing people how bad things can get so quickly if you don't recognize the symptoms. And yeah, I wanted to be as honest as possible. I wanted to let my guard down as much as possible. um I think in this day and age, we understand that, you don't have to put on the hard exterior, and you can let those walls down, and I think people respect it. So that's why. When I was growing up, you would believe that by telling someone you were sad or telling someone that you were sick, it was weak. I mean, I never, this prime example, I never told anyone about my liver and kidney disease, my previous genetic diseases, from the ages of 4 till last year. No one knew. Not even some of my closest family. Not even some of like my closest relationships that I've had over the last few years. I'd never told anyone about my pre-existing conditions because I didn't want anyone to know. Because I didn't want anyone to feel sorry for me. And it's only within recent years that it's changed. But recently, I felt like it's better to be honest with things. It actually makes it easier to deal with if people understand and people know. Just have those symptoms in mind, and if you're feeling unwell and it's not getting better, ask, could it be sepsis? You know your body. If you're not feeling, if you're in your head, you know your body. If you're not feeling right, you know it, and you feel. The biggest thing is you feel things before they show up on your bloods. If you've got pre-existing conditions which could make you more vulnerable, just really, really consider, just pay even more care. I mean, it's still the same thing, but you just got to pay even more care, because when you get ill, it can be so much more. You're so much more vulnerable, and it can be so much more scary and hit you so much harder. Um, you know, Follow your doctor's advice, get your jabs. If your doctors do say, I do understand it's a personal decision. But if I always follow the advice of a medical professional. There's a reason why they've spent, you know, many, many years in universities, studying for their medical degree. When I first met Alice, I kind of looked at her, and after the first few weeks, I was like, this is the girl I'm going to marry. I knew that, and it would have been a couple years until I'd married her, and following the norm. I think what happened over the last 6 months, just put into perspective, how short life is, how anything in life can change so quickly. So if I'm already thinking about marrying Alice in a few years, why wait? Because life can change so quickly. If I feel like I want to marry her now, marry her now. Something can change in any moment in your life, and then you don't want to go with any regrets. So everyone says, without even going through a health scare like this, that time goes so fast the older you get. And so then when you have a health scare on top of that, it's like how quickly time can end, you know. So you just kind of think to yourself, you don't want to go without any regrets, and you want to do everything that you've wanted to do. So yeah, I went skiing, going to LA hopefully at the end of the month. I want to go, if I can jump out of a plane over the Grand Canyon in the next few weeks, I'll do that too. I'm very much living life to its fullest again.